Welcome back as we reflect on Lancaster County's real estate market statistics. So we're looking back on November, starting with the overall sold volume. So we have seen a decrease from month to month, September to October to November. We ended the month with about 171 million in sold volume in November. Now, interestingly enough, October of 2024 and 2023, we actually saw the opposite. We saw a decrease in September, an increase in October, and then a decrease again in November. So it'll be interesting to see how this carries over. Now, the average sales price, on the other hand, actually increased from month over month. So from October to November, we did see an increase of about $12,000. So we ended November with an average sales price of roughly $391,000. Now, this is significantly over the average sales price from November of 2024. And I'm talking over $30,000 increase from November of 2024. So again, the trend that we have been seeing over the years of the average sales price increasing hasn't really stopped here in Lancaster County. So Sam, if the average sales price has increased so much, right, compared to prior year, compared to the prior month, we're at roughly 394,000, but the sales are down, the sold volume is down overall. How does something like that happen? Well, we have two major factors here. We have the listed units and then the pended units that have contributed to that. So let's start with option number one, the listed units. When we look at November of 2025 compared to October of 2025, we saw a decrease. It's to be expected this time of year. We know not a lot of sellers list in the winter. However, we saw almost 100 unit decrease. And I know that's not a huge deal in the grand scheme of things, but we're not talking really big numbers, right? We're not talking about a space where we have high hundreds, 800, 900, 1,000 units that are hitting the market every month. We are working with under 500 units right now. So in October, we had 537, and in November, we had 450 some hit the market. Again, a difference enough that we did see that sold volume decrease. Reason number two, the pending units. So pended units went down as well from month to month. And I keep telling you guys this, right? This is one of those key indicators as to what's happening in the market right now as we speak. So we know when a property hits the market, it should go pending, and then it will sell. So the pending unit is a variable that is not lagging, i.e. it is giving us real-time indication of what's happening in the market. So if the pending units are down, we're going to see a decrease overall. A couple other things we should talk about very quickly. Interest rate, we're not really seeing any movement there. We went from like 6.247 something to 6.24, right? October, November. No major movement there. We had a little bit of a decrease recently, but again, we're not going to see a major change in that department. That's something that we've seen fairly consistent and stable over the past couple of years. Days on market has decreased. So again, Lancaster County, guys, we are a very protected place. We are at 20 days on market when we are seeing national news of pushing 2 months for average days on market. Keep in mind, although our average days on market is 20, our median days is 8. So we are really seeing some interesting stuff when it comes to properties hitting the market and still selling fairly quickly. A couple of price points I want to at least take a moment to reflect on. We did see a decrease in two fairly interesting price points, right? So that 150 to 200 range. We actually went from about a month and a half, 1.6-ish months worth of inventory to under a month's worth of inventory. And although that doesn't seem, again, like a really big deal when we're really talking about small numbers, 1.5, 1 month, 0.5, right? It's enough when we're talking about affordability as well, right? So that we have less than a month's worth of inventory in that price range, along with some of the other ones, can be really hard when we're also talking about a time when people are having some hard time saving, spending is down, you know, we're reflecting on the economy in very different ways. And the other price point that I do want to draw attention to is over $750,000. That luxury price market actually saw a major decrease. So we were actually pushing 2 months worth of inventory in October of 2025, and now we're at about half a month's worth of inventory in that category. And the biggest factor there is that we actually saw a huge decrease in the number of listed units in that price point. So over that $750,000 mark. So if you have any questions about how this information, how this data works for you, how it impacts you, if you're looking to buy, sell, maybe do both, I'd love to have a conversation with you and talk about not only how it impacts you, but how we can make it work to your advantage. So until next time, stay tuned, stay kind, and stay merry. Happy holidays.
This has been TDG News.